Tom Aspinall cannot catch a break. Tom Aspinall has gone through a lot in his career, starting with the knee injury early in his career against Curtis Blaydes in the first fight, then the whole Jon Jones situation that prevented him from truly calling himself the best and sidelined him for a solid part of his prime, and now the Ciryl Gane eye poke situation, which has led to multiple eye surgeries and even some speculation that he's not going to return to fighting. Granted, this is coming from Joe Rogan, but it's like the MMA gods are doing everything in their power to prevent Tom Aspinall from truly reaching his full potential. Tom Aspinall, who was supposed to be the poster boy of the new generation of heavyweights and really one of the faces of the UFC, was supposed to unify the belts to become undisputed champion by running through Jon Jones in one of the biggest fights in UFC history, then go on to run through Ciryl Gane, and then defend his belt several times over by showcasing his deep skill set for the heavyweight division. And I'm not saying Tom Aspinall hasn't achieved a lot, and despite a lot of setbacks, he has still become undisputed champion, and he's only 32 years old, so it's not like his career is actually over, but I can't help but think that by this point, Tom Aspinall should seriously be a generational superstar next to Alex Pereira and Ilia Topuria, like one of the faces of the UFC. So today, let's go through all the shit Tom has had to go through, where his career is now, and if he can ever reach his full potential. Tom Aspinall started off hot in his career, going 5-0 and pretty much finishing everyone early. He knocked out Jake Collier in his debut in 45 seconds, then Alan Baudot in a minute 35. Took a while to finish his first big name in Andrei Arlovsky, but eventually just bulldozed him and got a rear naked choke in the second. Then he knocked out Sergey Spivak in 2 minutes 30, and then finally in this win streak he displayed his beautiful wrestling and timing and eventually submitted Volkov in 3 minutes 45 seconds with this straight armbar. He was running through everyone in his division and showing every facet of the game. He could take you down and submit you, or he could simply just blitz you with punches and bunches and lay you out in less than a minute. And with this early run, he was set to face Curtis Blaydes, who was number 4 ranked contender, and he was going to do it in front of his home crowd of London, England. But unfortunately, his first strategy in his career would strike early in this fight as he blew out his knee in the first 15 seconds. And man, that would suck for Tom's career early, as he would take his first loss in the UFC in a way no one wants to see, and this would stop him from moving up the rankings and really stop his momentum and sideline him for a year. But in his return, Tom would come back just where he left off. Back on home court, he would get a quick 1 minute 13 second knockout of Marcin Tybura, which would catapult him to the opportunity of a lifetime, as Jon Jones would have to pull out of UFC 295. This meant Tom Aspinall and the super scary Sergey Pavlovich were set to face each other at Madison Square Garden for the interim heavyweight championship. It was a dangerous matchup with all eyes on this matchup for super high stakes. And even though it was Sergey who landed the first bomb, it was the speed and timing that got there for Tom, which took down Sergey Pavlovich and led to Tom becoming interim champion. And interim champion means they should be next in line for the belt, right? As in, the next fight should be between the undisputed champion who was sidelined and the interim champion, correct? Well, that just made way too much sense for Jon, I guess. See, as we all know, Jon was supposed to be set to face Stipe at UFC 295, but because he tore his pectoral, he would be out for around 9 to 10 weeks. And in that time, he did everything in his power to try to gaslight everyone into thinking he and Stipe was the next heavyweight fight, and not him and the literal interim champion Tom Aspinall. He and Tom would go into a Twitter war, and it started to look like Tom and Jon would have to wait. Me personally, I would have done Stipe versus Tom to prove who was really next in line, but even Stipe stayed sidelined to guarantee a shot at facing Jon Jones. What did this mean for Tom? This meant being sidelined for a very long time for practically no reason. Not only did he have to wait for Jon to recover 9 to 10 weeks, but he had to wait for Jon to fight Stipe at some point, and then he would have to wait for Jon to recover from that fight, and then hope that Jon would accept that fight with Tom. That whole process, of course, would take over a year, and as interim champion, Tom had a tough decision between waiting his turn for the belt and his chance to beat one of the greatest of all time to become undisputed champion, or not stay inactive and risk his interim title to continue his career. For now, he was stuck in limbo. And this is definitely where we saw Tom's career really take a toll, because in that waiting, he could have been fighting big names and becoming a star for the UFC. Look at Alex Pereira in this timeline. On that night, Tom became interim champion, but also Alex would become light heavyweight champion, and this is the night Alex would go from Israel Adesanya's arch nemesis to superstar of his own and the face of the UFC. From UFC 295, Alex would headline UFC 300, knock out Jamal Hill. He would again face Yuri and do my boy even worse with this head kick. And finally, end the year with a banger of a fight with Khalil Roundtree to solidify a giant 2024. To remind everyone, he was the face of the UFC, and he did this all before Jon Jones would finally fight Stipe at UFC 309 at the end of the year. Meanwhile, for Tom, again, waiting on Jon to face Stipe and then relying on Jon to actually face him after that was so much of a risk to his career. He had to defend his interim title against Curtis Blaydes in a rematch in this time period. Dude, imagine if Jon Jones wasn't a duck. He would have returned healthy in the middle or maybe even the beginning of Q2 in 2024. Fought Tom, probably would have lost early to the wrecking ball that is Tom Aspinall, giving him an all-time moment Tom needs in his career. Then Tom would have definitely faced Ciryl Gane by the end of this year. And this all would have happened in 2024. He would have had a whole nother year fighting in 2025, and who knows? He could have fought Volkov again and beat him even worse. Maybe another title defense in this year. He would have been active, probably getting highlight finishes and been in the forefront of the UFC, but instead, in this timeline, he would barely fight in those 2 years, and in this fight, it gets even worse for Tom Aspinall. When Jon Jones finally retired in June of this year, Tom would finally become undisputed champion in the most underwhelming way possible, but still become undisputed, and his first title defense would be against Ciryl Gane. And with Tom now pretty much universally recognized to be the best heavyweight in the world right now, there's a lot of expectation for Tom to prove that and run through Ciryl and do so quickly, especially considering how quickly Jon did so against Ciryl Gane. But unfortunately for Tom, not only did that not happen, he kind of got worked by Ciryl in that first round with his speed and his jab especially, made Tom bleed, and to put the cherry on top, Ciryl Gane wouldn't give Tom the chance to make the adjustments in the second round as he poked him bad, which led to a no contest. Not only was this an unsatisfying ending, the community turned on Tom Aspinall, calling him a quitter and a fraud. It was pretty fucked up because it wasn't even his fault. Ciryl committed the clear foul, and now the dogs were sicked on Tom. Even Dana White was talking down on Tom's decision to not continue, and Waldo Cortez Acosta later down the road clowned Tom as he was able to continue after Tom's teammate eye poked him, and he still got the knockout anyways. Which gets us to now. Tom needs multiple eye surgeries, with one of them already have happened and another one coming up in mid-January. It's looking so bad that we have Joe Rogan speculating that Tom Aspinall might never fight again after those eye surgeries. And even though I would take Joe Rogan's word with a giant grain of salt, he is still right in that a serious surgery like that is definitely not going to allow Tom to come back 100%. So in this recovery time, there's been rumors that Alex Pereira and Ciryl Gane are going to happen for the interim heavyweight title, which would be super lit. Alex said UFC White House is a no-go, which this would be a stretch with no proof whatsoever, but I think Alex Pereira is possibly set to fight Ciryl for the interim title and headline its own event. But with that, the attention of the heavyweight division is going to be more so on Alex Pereira and his move up to heavyweight rather than the champion Tom Aspinall. And again, with Tom being sidelined from the Jon situation and now his eye poke fiasco and recovery from that, it's like Tom can't catch a break. Every time he's supposed to be truly without a doubt the best heavyweight in the world and be this superstar, he gets sidelined by no fault of his own. He was supposed to be the heavyweight star and face of the UFC, but time and time and again, the UFC refuses to make him reach his full potential. So anyways, what do you guys think about Tom Aspinall's career? Is he done being unlucky, or is he going to finally break out as that star, as that giant face of the UFC? Is he going to come back 100% after these eye surgeries, and who should his next fight be? Probably should be the Ciryl Gane rematch, but with Alex Pereira maybe coming into the division, it makes things very interesting. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, always supporting. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.